Hi, my name is Justin Pines, and thank you so much for joining us today. One of the many questions coming out of the October 7th terrible massacre is not only understanding what the experience has been like for Israeli Jews and also for North American Jews, but also thinking about how to respond, how to think about how our communities look moving forward. And today we have the privilege to be joined by two fascinating and interesting people that I'm grateful to have come to know recently, who represent two communities, the community of Netiv HaAsara in Israel and the communities of the Jewish communities of Englewood and Tenafly in northern New Jersey. And what I want to share with us a little bit tonight is the stories of those communities since October 7th, and also the partnership that they're developing. And I think it's an amazing model for us to think about beyond, just not only for their communities, but for the communities across North America and Israel. And so today I'm joined by Rabbi Chaim Poupko, the senior rabbi of Congregation Ahavath Torah in Englewood, New Jersey, and by Benny Ledom, one of the survivors of the October 7th massacre from Netiv HaAsara. Thank you both for joining me today.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Great. So I really want to start, Rabbi Poupko, with you. You know, as a North American myself, as an American Jew who was in Englewood on October 7th, let's just start with that framework and just tell me a little bit, what was your experience on October 7th? You woke up that morning and...
So, like many people on this side of the ocean, you know, the information began to trickle in, and so there was shock, there was confusion, there was hope that it's not worse, and as the day unfolded and we got more and more information, it just got worse and worse, to the extent that, you know, when I first heard, as I walked into Shul that morning, which for us in the diaspora was Shmini Atzeret. In Israel, it was Simchat Torah. You know, I heard from our volunteer security personnel that there was an attack, there was an infiltration, but I didn't hear anything about hostages until later in the day. Later in the day, a woman knocked on my door in the afternoon in tears, and she was saying, we need to think about what we're doing tomorrow, Simchat Torah, because there are hostages that were taken into Gaza. And my hair stood on end, and it's standing on end right now, just thinking about that moment. And so, you know, shock gave way to pain and sadness as the news just kept getting worse.
And then tell me about what happens next for your community. So the information starts to unfold. You are the senior rabbi of a major modern Orthodox synagogue, like one of the flagship modern Orthodox synagogues in America. People are looking to you. People are trying to figure things out. What happens in the coming days? Let's just start with right after, in the aftermath.
So in the immediate aftermath, and I just want to acknowledge, I'm sitting here next to Benny, who's going to share his stories. You know, the stories of our experience, they don't even compare. They don't even compare to that's what we're going to hear from Benny. But you know, the first thing that I did, because it's helpful to me, is to think with my colleagues, my associate rabbis, Rabbi Daniel Goldberg, Rabbi Morty Kasus at Ahavath Torah with me, and we just needed to sit and talk and think about how we were going to navigate Simchat Torah, how we should, you know, honor the day with a certain kind of celebration, but recognizing that we are in an entirely different frame of mind based on what's going on. Once the Chag was over, the holiday was over, there was not even a thought that we needed to snap into action, and we needed to do, and we needed to support. And the only difficulty was trying to do things as fast as possible, but as effectively as possible. And so there were many, many projects, and most of them were grassroots. They weren't projects that I or the Shul initiated, but rather members of our community in Englewood and Tenafly initiated, and that they turned to the Shul to help us execute those programs. And so we did lots of different kinds of fundraisers. We did fundraisers from the Shul. We did all sorts of different projects that many other Shuls and many other communities did. And then at a certain point, we felt like a few weeks later that, you know, we had to kind of take a step back and think about what we're doing, because, you know, we're raising money and we're buying bulletproof vests of a certain grade, and helmets and this and that, and we're hearing that some of them aren't getting through, some of them are the wrong ones, We did a lot of amazing things, but we were learning that we need to be more effective, we need to be more thoughtful and strategic. And so we kind of transitioned into more organized programming. And then as we talked about it more, and I was talking with my predecessor, our Rabbi Emeritus, Rabbi Shmuel Golden, who's retired, lives in Jerusalem, and we were talking about it, and we came up with this idea to partner with the community so that all the different kinds of efforts that we were doing, we could have them be more focused and concrete, so that the community could feel driven and motivated, so, because they could see impact that they're having on a particular community, as opposed to just, getting involved in things all over the place. And those kinds of projects are still going on, and people are still doing it because they're very meaningful and they're important. Mm-hmm. And there are things that we can't do as an institution that grassroots, that individuals can do. But we really felt that partnering with the community and establishing a long-term relationship would be a way to focus our efforts and make them more effective.
Got it. So there's kind of this flood of people trying to find ways to be effective, to help. What can I do from my position? And that's very grassroots. And I hear you saying that there's this kind of moment where people are coalescing around how can we really focus our efforts? Let's find a community that we want to partner with. And then how do you get to Netiv HaAsara?
So it's a wonderful story. When we decided to partner with the community, I reached out to a couple different organizations. I spoke with different people in the community, and one person mentioned to me, there's a young man in our community, Elad Hibsher, who's originally from Israel, who the day after October 7th, or on October 7th, just kicked into high gear, coordinating a number of very effective programs. And I was told that he was already in touch with a particular community through someone named Orna Barbivai, who I believe is the first female major general or of her rank in the IDF, retired. She's a former member of Knesset, and she was part of some group that I don't know exactly what it's called, some group of high-ranking officers who wanted to use their leadership skills to help the communities around the Gaza Strip. And so Elad got in touch with Orna Barbivai, and Orna Barbivai was in touch with Netiv HaAsara, and so she put Elad in touch with them, with the leadership of Netiv HaAsara. I heard that Elad was talking to them. I reached out to him. He set up a Zoom where we could meet, and it was love at first sight. The leadership, the residents of Netiv HaAsara, we just clicked. They're wonderful, wonderful people. Not just wonderful people, they're people that we just naturally connected with. And so, it's not like we did this whole search, right? It's like everything that happens within our community, mm-hmm. networking. Mm-hmm. And it's a great bracha. We feel so blessed, and honestly, and I give credit to Rabbi Golden for pointing this out. We're doing this because we want to support Netiv HaAsara, but that's not the way we want to look at it, because Netiv HaAsara is giving us the privilege of partnering with them. Because Netiv HaAsara is a strong community, it's a resilient community. They can stand on their own 2 feet. It's not like they need us to prop them up. No, they're going to rebuild one way or another, and they're giving us the privilege, the great opportunity to be a partner and to be involved in their rebuilding effort. Mm-hmm.
Wow. All right, and I think it goes back to your point, which is that to as you think about what this might look like, let's say 2, 6 months, a year, 2, 3, 5 years from now as a partnership or community, right? There's something where you can look back on as Englewood, and in addition to all the grassroots things, the effects that you're having across the country of Israel and within North America as well. Think about, wait, we made something here. We made a partnership here. And so just say a few more words just around like what's the vision? What do you hope this looks like in the future?
That's a perfect question, because it enables me to discuss the second goal, right? The first goal is to be involved and to play a role in their rebuilding effort. But the second goal is to establish a long-term relationship. The events of October 7th were a horrible tragedy, and I wish they never happened. And I'm not the kind of person to say, oh, there's a silver lining on it. You can't put a silver lining on October 7th. But a result of October 7th is a renewed awareness of how important it is that we be unified, that we be connected to all Jews, and our brothers and sisters in Israel have been demonstrating it and feeling it and showing it and wanting to preserve it. And this partnership enables us to further that goal of remaining unified and connected. We have Jews who are working together with each other from different communities, different places from amongst the community, who have never talked to each other before. And so this is an opportunity that we cannot miss. And it's not about kiruv, it's not about changing anybody. It's about having more relationships. It's about extending our family. It's about feeling closer to our brothers and sisters in Israel in a very concrete way by taking advantage of this opportunity that Netiv HaAsara is giving us.
Great. And I think it's such an important point, this element of the connection across the ocean. And I want to ask you also about the connection across Englewood and Tenafly. Just say a few words around, the ways in which this has brought the community together, also across different denomination lines.
Yeah. So at first, when I first thought of this idea, I thought of it just naturally for my shul. But when I started speaking with members of my community, people I was getting involved, we immediately realized that this should be a community effort. And if it's going to be a community effort, we need to maximize this effort and have it be inclusive. We're very blessed in Englewood that we have wonderful relationships across the different streams. And so we weren't necessarily calling up shuls that we hadn't spoken to before. No, thank God, I know the rabbis from the other streams very well. But for us to do this project together, we realized very quickly is a reflection of that second goal, that goal of establishing long-term relationships and strengthening those relationships.
Beautiful. And then just tell us a little bit, I know one of the milestones of this partnership so far was this moment where several people from Netiv HaAsara came to Englewood for a Shabbat, for a weekend. Just tell us a little bit about what happened there. What was the experience?
Yeah, so several weeks ago, we had the privilege of several of us from our community visiting Netiv HaAsara, seeing the community, which is still evacuated because it's in a war zone, seeing the destruction, being taken around the Moshav and shown exactly where the terrorists went and who was murdered where. And then, more importantly, we spent several days meeting more and more residents of the Moshav and learning about them as people and their family stories. And then a few weeks later, representatives of the leadership and the residents of Netiv HaAsara came to Englewood Tenafly, a few in each one of the different synagogues, which gave us the opportunity to host them, to have our people get to know some of the people, some of the residents of Netiv HaAsara. Do you guys call yourselves Moshavniks?
Moshav.
Moshavnikim,
כן.
Yeah?
Moshavnikim.
Right. I'll stick with residents. Listen, to get to know somebody on a personal level, face to face, it's there's no other way to do it. And it enabled our community to really see this relationship really is blossoming. It's really being created. And to be able to hear about themselves, to hear from the Netiv HaAsara residents, their stories, their experience, on October 7th and after October 7th was so, it's to building a relationship, it's crucial. And it's a privilege. It's very difficult to talk about these things, and it's not, as they say in Hebrew, muvan me'elav. It's not obvious that somebody who experienced what they experienced on October 7th would come across the ocean and just tell the story in front of a bunch of American Jews sitting in the safety and security here. And we're very grateful that they're willing to make these trips, to talk with us, to share with us, because it really strengthens those bonds.
Thank you. And that brings us, that's actually the first time I heard you speak, Benny. In Rabbi Poupko's synagogue, I heard you speak for the first time, and that's how we met.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for taking some of your time to join us today.
Thank you.
It's really, our honor to hear your story, as it was for me to hear it the first time. And I think, before you tell us your story, I just want to hear a little bit about Netiv HaAsara itself. Just tell me a little bit of the history of the Moshav, say what a Moshav is maybe, and tell us what's Netiv HaAsara.
First of all, Moshav, it's like a village, a really small village, which the major occupation of the people is agriculture. Moshav Netiv HaAsara was built in the Sinai Sands at the 70s. 73, I think, it was established by 70 families of pioneers that decided they want to settle the country. And they built a beautiful moshav there, very successful, with a great high-tech agriculture, because Sinai is a desert. And they succeeded to flourish it in a way that the world was astonished from that achievement. In the 80s, in the early 80s, the peace process with Egypt forced the state of Israel to evacuate the whole Sinai. So Moshav Netiv HaAsara was evacuated to the location he is today, and that is the sand of Zikim. We lived in the Moshav. Well, the Moshav, since I think 22 years ago, is suffering from terror attacks in the form of missiles, motor bomb, all kind of attacks that can come from the air. Our community, but before that, our community is about 1,000 people. 0 to 90, and as I said before, we are suffering from terror attacks in the form of motor bombs or missiles or Qassamim or whatever.
How close is the Moshav to Gaza?
Well, the first home is like, 100 meters from the fence, something like that, from the border itself. Well, it didn't always been that way, because in Gaza itself there was Gush Katif, which was assembled for several settlements that was in the Gaza Strip, and the country of Israel decided, in order to improve our relationship with the Palestinians, to evacuate the Gaza Strip from all settlements. And that's what happened when they evacuated Nisanit, which was like the closest village to ours. So when they evacuated Nisanit, the border actually became our fence, our Moshav fence.
Wow.
So we got closer to the border.
So you go from, because of the unilateral withdrawal from Gush Katif, suddenly you wake up and now you're on the border.
We're on the edge of the border. Yeah, we are the closest village or moshav or kibbutz or whatever to the border of the Gaza Strip.
And were any residents suddenly saying, "I don't want to stay here"?
No. Look, this is our home. We will not go anywhere else. This is the way. This is like a pioneer moshav that is intent to stay as a community in our place. We not intend to leave the Moshav. We intend to build it all over again, and we shall overcome anything that will happen. As always, we are very resilient community. We're struggling right now, but we shall overcome. We shall overcome.
And the people who come, or new people constantly come to the Moshav, or people are staying in the Moshav over generations?
Well, actually, my family is like the fourth generation was born 2 years ago.
Wow.
And almost 80% of the Moshav is like that. Not fourth generation, but at least 3 generations that living in the Moshav. There are also newcomers that whoever start to live in the Moshav doesn't want to live, because that's a good place to be in. Beside the part of our neighbors. But it's a really good place to live.
Okay. And tell me a little bit about yourself now. And then kind
Myself.
of and the events leading up to October 7th and then October 7th.
Well, I'll tell you my personal story. Please. With your permission.
Of course.
As I told it in the shul.
Right.
So my story starts 2 weeks before the 7th of October. The Moshav made a nice celebration for me and for my and the whole immediate response team that I was a part of. They told.
Just say one word. What's the immediate response team?
Immediate response team built from a group of residents which are active in reserves army, and they are the one that's supposed to be the first to respond on any terror attack inside the Moshav until the army arriving.
Got it.
They're supposed to catch like the battle for the, I don't know, first half an hour, 1 hour, that's it.
Okay. So you were a member of that?
I was a member of that. Everyone in the immediate response team get the combat gear, M16, vest, and whatever needed. And we practice and whatever in order to hold this thing active and able to respond. So as I said before, they made a party for me, and they told me, listen, Benny, you are 55, you're old, you're running 100 meters, we should call an ambulance to evacuate you. There are youngsters that just left the army, so with all due respect, please return your combat gear and let someone new get in. So it made me angry a bit, but to be honest, they were right. So I gave up all my combat gear, and I'm just mentioning that because just to understand how I was in the 7th of October, I wasn't with nothing but my pistol.
This happened 2 weeks before October.
2 weeks before, yeah.
Okay.
On Friday before that, we joined together all our...
The Friday before October 7th?
Yeah.
Okay.
On
October
the
6th.
6th, yeah, exactly. We have like something called Parliament. We are like 5 friends from the Moshav that meeting every Friday in order to, just to do whatever the wife doesn't allow us to do, smoke, drink, and whatever. And those are, best friends. Every Friday we meet we call it Kabbalat Shabbat, noon, obviously not in Shabbat. And we're meeting together and drinking and eating and laughing and informing each other on what happened the last week. This Friday we just met for saying hello and Chag Sameach because it was a holiday, and everybody was hosting dinners at their homes. I also hosted dinner at my home, and we did Chaim, and we break. Everyone go to his own home, and so we left. We left after we did Chaim. We left, and then we go to our own home. The evening of the 6th, I accommodated 40 people for dinner. for the holiday. Both sides of my family, my sisters, my wife family, and the 8 friends that wasn't invited of my daughter Eden.
Okay.
Eden is 26. I have 2 daughters. One is 26, Eden, which been with me on the synagogue in Englewood at Rabbi Poupko synagogue. And I also have Romi. Romi is 23. She's a victim of a terror attack. She was injured during a missile attack in 2018, and she was determined 85% disability because of that. She's having trouble walking. She needed an electric wheelchair, and she's in home. She's handling herself with a stroller in order to walk.
Oh, wait, I'll stop you there. That happened in the Moshav?
Yes, of course. So I'm mentioning that because you need to realize we are a very resilient community. There's nowhere else to go. This is our home. We not intend to go anywhere. Mm-hmm. So that's why I'm mentioning that also. So,
right, which, by the way, is so hard as an American Jew to wrap our head around, to be frank. I think if people feel unsafe in a place here, they are running as fast as possible, and not because something as intense as what happened to your daughter, things that are much,
Okay.
Which,
so
I'm just receiving that.
I will reply. Not reply. I will comment to that because in Israel it's different. Israel is very, very small. If we go from our Moshav, let's say north, because the Moshav is located on the north part of the Gaza Strip. If we go north, we'll reach Ashkelon, which also been attacked. So, and then we'll go north to Ashdod. Ashdod also been attacked. So what are we saying? That we need to leave Israel? We'll never leave Israel. Israel is our place. Mm-hmm. And it's an important place for all the Jews all over the world. Mm-hmm. Our resilience give you resilience as a diaspora. That's the way I see it, because eventually we are one people and no one forgets the Holocaust, which I'm a second generation too. Okay? So let's go forward. I accommodate, as I said, there were 8 friends of Eden that weren't invited that came, as usual. And as usual, they wanted to sleep over. And I said, the first time in my life, I said no, put a designated driver, and just leave at the end of the evening. And they left, lucky for us, because on the 7th of October, if they would have stayed asleep, we couldn't, our secure room cannot contain everybody because it's too small. And then that's bring me back to the 7th of October. The 7th of October is, in the morning, the siren went on, and the siren in the Moshav, it's saying Tzeva Adom, which means red alert. And as usual, I didn't get up of bed, because I usually don't get up of bed because of the siren. We're so accustomed to it, and so on. I'm not really worried, because it's like a statistic weapon. I have something in my mind that decided that's the way I wanted to be. Although my wife, Shirley, and my 2 daughters running straight away to the secure room. Eden walks into my room and telling me, Abba, we need to get out now. Come to the secure room now. Something is really odd. Something is different this time. While she was speaking, I heard a rapid gunshot really outside my window. That's the way it sounded. I immediately understand we are in a different situation altogether, and we are like, there is an infiltration to the Moshav. I understood that immediately. And I said, okay, let's prepare the family, and let's be proactive about it. So I jumped out of bed, told everybody to get dressed completely. We put our phones on flight mode because they have trackers for the phones. And we also put earplugs because it could be crucial. I handed earplugs to the family because when there is a big noise, everybody in reflexes freeze for a couple of seconds, and those seconds can be crucial for survival. So I handed everything out, everybody was ready. I told my wife, listen, Shirley, I'm going out to fight. I'm taking my pistol. She looked at me and said, you stay put right here. If you're going out, I'm going to shoot you in the leg and treat you inside the secure room. You're not going anywhere. You retired. During this conversation, the electricity went down. So further preparation should be made. So when the electricity went going down in our moshav, the water pumps doesn't work. And we needed to get some water into the secure room. So I went outside to the kitchen in order to bring from the coffee machine, from the vessel of the coffee machine, to bring water. While I'm taking the water and put it to another vessel in order to be able, they can drink it, I saw I have like the kitchen window above the sink, I saw someone running to my next door neighbor. I immediately stressed out because he ran straight to his front door. I stressed out, I took out my pistol, I put a bullet inside, aimed, and tried to see what's going on.
Sorry, just to clarify, the person you saw running, you didn't know?
I couldn't see what exactly is going on, and it wasn't making any sense to me because outside it was like terrible, like a war movie. Mortar bombs and missiles and noise of shooting, and it was like that didn't make any sense that someone will run outside in this chaotic situation. So that's why I stressed out. So I put a bullet inside, aimed, tried to see what's going on, and then I realized in the rush I forgot to put my glasses on. So I waited patiently to see what's happening in order to protect my neighbor, because if something is going on, then I could at least run him away from his front door. My next door neighbor, his name is Ziv. He's the security manager of the moshav. He's like in charge on behalf of the army of the security of the moshav. He's like the commander of our immediate group team and the response team. And I waited to see what's happening. And then I heard a shout, Igal Vax. Igal is a good friend. I immediately relaxed, put my pistol back to his handler, and I said, okay, the door opened, Igal went inside. I said, okay, I'm relaxed, Igal is in a safe place, everything is okay. And I turned to take the stuff that I arranged into the secure room. I pick it up, turned, and I see my wife running at me. And I asked her, Shirley, what's going on? And she said, listen, Ziv called, and he said, now, you need to realize that the whole conversation is whispering because there are terrorists outside and we don't want to be noticed. Yeah. So, and she telling me, listen, Benny, Ziv called and he is asking for your help because the Igal is seriously wounded and he doesn't know what to do. Well, since I was a volunteer in Magen David Adom, I'm a medic.
What's Magen David Adom?
Magen David Adom, it's like the Red Cross, basically.
Volunteer. Right?
Yeah, obviously.
Yeah, great.
Only volunteer. Everything in Israel is
volunteering. Yeah, we can learn about that in America.
The immediate response team is volunteer. Everything is volunteer.
Okay.
And so I need to decide now what I'm going to do, because Igal is in distress. I need to take care of him. But for me, there was no question. I needed to get out to help Igal. So I started to leave, and then I look at my wife and I said, are you okay for me leaving? And she said, yes, of course. And so I got out with mixed emotions because I'm leaving my family, in my eyes unprotected because I'm not there. I'm going out to a war movie because it's like terrible outside, mortar bombs and missiles and shootings, and good chance I'm going to get hurt also. And someone shot Eagle, which means he has eye contact with him. He's probably after him, and I might be engaged into battle with someone heavily armed. Nevertheless, I said, אומרים בעברית על החיים ועל המוות. That's how we say in Hebrew. It's been whatever happened, happened.
For life or for death.
Yeah, exactly. And I ran to Ziv home. Lucky for me, I arrived safely. I entered Ziv home, and I saw Igal lying on the floor with a towel on his chest in a puddle of blood. In the house there was Ziv and his son Stav. They were wearing combat gear with M16, and I looked at Ziv and I told him, okay, we need to evacuate him immediately, while I was getting on my knees in order to check what's happening with Igal. Igal was in semi-conscious. He could talk, but he was like vague. I checked him, and I see he got a bullet in his back, on the right side of his back. And the bullet went straight through, torn up his right lung. He has difficulty breathing. I checked the pulse in his arms. There was no pulse in the arm. I couldn't find any, which means he's in a hypovolemic shock, not enough blood in the body. I immediately understood that he's in a critical situation, not much chance of survival. And I urged Ziv to evacuate him. Ziv told me, Benny, we can't evacuate him. It's impossible now to evacuate anybody. We can't go outside right now. I said, okay, let me call Magen David Adom. So I took the phone, called Magen David Adom. I asked someone answer me, and I'm telling him, listen, explain the whole situation, and tell him, please send me the armor ambulance immediately to Netiv HaAsara in order to evacuate a person who got shot and seriously injured. He told me, 1 minute, I will call you back, and hang up the phone. Now imagine, you're calling 911, and someone tells you, 1 minute, I will call you back, and hang up the phone. I was like, I didn't know what to do with myself. No equipment, I can't do anything, and even if I did have an equipment, I can't handle this kind of injury. It even in a I don't know how you call it, in a shock room in hospital where you need to treat people with surgeon and everything. This is difficult case. Mm-hmm. That's not something you can easily do. And even then, in a hospital, I don't believe they could do anything about it.
At this point, did you know what was going on in the other communities?
No clue. No clue. We didn't know the scale of the event.
So you didn't know why Magen David Adom hung up on you?
I didn't understand anything. I was like shocked, because what on earth going on? I mean, how come this is even possible? So I was like, I didn't really know what to do. But I looked at Ziv, and Ziv told me, listen, Benny, something is going on which is really big. They can't come right now to evacuate. And he told me, do whatever you can with Igal. Just do your best. My best was to try to give him some peace before he died. And he eventually died in my arms, saying, Benny, tell everybody I love them, I'm living, and that's it. He just died. Igal was a part of our parliament, a good friend. Later on I found out that his brother, Amit Vax, also got killed today during fighting, which is also a part of our parliament. And Adi Barav also got killed during fighting. And he also was a part of our parliament. So between our five, only two left, me and Tsar. For me, that was heartbreaking. Still is. That's my story.
I'm just going to sit with it for a second. That's okay. I'm sorry. Benny. Yeah.
Beside them, another 17 members of our community got murdered that day. Every single one of them has a heartbreaking story. I think the difficult one was the 17 boys that went to the Zikim beach to fish, Tal Keren and Or Tassa, and they were butchered inside the toilet of the beach because they thought they are protecting themselves from missiles. And I understand that everything is on film because they took pictures. That was heartbreaking also. Alon, Tal father, was fighting shoulder to shoulder with Adi while his son was butchered in the Zikim show. This is also a heartbreaking story. We have also the story of Gil Tassa, the father of Or Tassa. They jump on a grenade in order to save his two youngest boy, an 8 years and a 12. And everything was on footage because Gil was like a security camera guy, besides of being a fighter. He was a fireman. We were still are, trying to recover from that trauma of the 7th of October. But we see the future. I believe, as I see it, we shall overcome, we shall rebuild. We shall succeed to revive this community in the Moshav. It will take time. It's a process. It's something that you need patience and understanding because everybody takes it differently. Some people can recover quickly, some can't. But in the end of the day, our community is like one big family. Everybody knows everybody. We are only 1,000 people. Imagine 20 died, which means that it's like that's like, I don't know how to say it. It's like 2%. Mm-hmm. So I don't know. Translate that to any other community and take 2% to understand the scale. Every home, and I'm not talking about the injured one. There were also injured people. Every person in our community has been touched by this occasion. And in all this darkness, we've been approached by Jewish from United States, from the North New Jersey community. That's how they describe it for us. And they are, I can't describe the feeling. They just gave us hope, because we're not alone. Since we are a small moshav, and since we are not the only one that got really badly hurt, because there are worst cases in our region, although you can't measure blood, yeah, but they address us, and it was amazing. We've been approached firstly by the Jewish Federation of the New Jersey, of the North New Jersey. We've been approached by Ravit Steinmetz, which is the representative of this community. And she was magnificent. She was literally amazing. Immediate contact. I mean, there was a click, like Rabbi Poupko said. There was a click, and everything started moving. And then the Federation came to see us in our hotel. Now, just to understand, today we're scattered all over the country. They couldn't find one place to host us all because it's difficult, so they put us in 2 hotels at the beginning. One hotel is like in Tel Aviv, one hotel in Ma'ale HaChamisha, and there are several apartments people started to rent. So we started to rent apartments because you can't live in a hotel. It's impossible with kids, and it's very, very difficult. So we're trying to find accommodation arrangement for every part of the community and make it like small togetherness, like 10 family here, 20 family here.
And remember, this is a community, a very tight-knit community of 300 families living on one moshav, in and out of each other's homes. Not only the fact that they're displaced, but the fact that they're in different places takes a toll on them. It's not what they're familiar with. Right.
So what's happened is that since we are scattered all over, and since we try to facilitate somewhere, every time we try to facilitate a meeting, it's been a problem, because you need resources to do that. You need to find a place that can accommodate 1,000 people. That's like a huge hall. You need a place that you can, I don't know, do to celebrate Hanukkah, for example. That's what we did, by the way. So we got a lot of help, and then the Federation came to visit us. The board of, I don't know, part of the board of the Federation, Jason Shames from the Federation led this delegation, and he was amazing. And during conversation, because they wanted to meet the people, everybody wants to meet the people. So he wanted to meet our youngsters, the elderly, and whatever. And so I told him we brought our youth, the grade of the 12th grader, and they talked to him and told him about the the two friends that were butchered in the toilet in Zakim Shore. And he asked, what do we want us to do? So we said, maybe we can send them to you. Give him a time off from the old situation, something to have fun, to see something different, something it's like huge for them. See, I don't know, a Knicks game or go to a concert or something like that. And they were really excited about it, the youth. And he said, yes, of course, we'll facilitate that. And then, I don't know, maybe, I don't know how many days later, Rabbi Poupko also came with Elad Hipsher, with a different delegation, and they all North New Jersey community. And then we realized we need to do something more, because it was like it's becoming closer and closer, and we became friends. And when I see the rabbi, it's always a hug, not a handshake, because he's like a great guy, and we became friends really quickly. And everything was like a family. It felt like they are a part of us, and we are a part of them. And then we thought about it, and we decided it must be more than just raising funds and getting help, because look, we are really proud people. We never ask for help. We are not ready. We don't know how to do it even. So to do the whole fundraising, we're not pro in this. And we didn't hire anybody pro to do it, because it's felt to us like too much business way. And this is not a business. This is much more than a business. This is like about values, about community. It's about joint venture with a different community than ours. It's about people. It's all about people. And we decided we're not going to take anybody professional in order to do that, because it's lost the taste. I mean, it's wrong in our eyes. Mm-hmm. And we met the whole community, and we became really good friends. And if with your permission, I want to thank so many people, if it's okay.
Go for it.
Okay, so first of all, to Rabbi Poupko. He was amazing. Rabbi Goldberg, Rabbi Kassos, Rabbi Block, Rabbi Genak, Rabbi Milstein, Rabbi Reichman, Rabbi Konikov, that's from Chabad community.
Yep.
And obviously for Elad Hibsher and Ravit Steinmatz and Jason Shames from the Federation. And my private thanks is to the Solomon family, Alex and Sandy, that hosted me and my daughter in a way that we felt literally at home. Mm-hmm. That was, we love them very much. We became friends. I get a phone call every day to check how I am, what's going on. And I think that's the whole purpose of what's happening. We need to keep it going. We need to mix our youth together. We need to let them understand what's going on in the United States, what's going on in Israel. They need to learn, both sides need to learn what's going on, because there is total disconnect in tonight. The Israelis are so different from the American in so many ways, but they are the same. Mm-hmm. So we need to overcome and make it a bridge, and that's what we're doing here.
Thank you. First of all, I know Marcy Cohen, I think, was one other person that you
Marcy was amazing. Oh,
sure.
Thank you so much for reminding me.
That's what I'm here for.
She was supposed to be here.
Yes.
That's why she's not in my list.
Yes. Great. And then tell me just one reflection. You mentioned this kind of chavruta, or this encounter with the North American Jewish experience. Just tell me something that you've learned, or that's been interesting, or just coming to Englewood, joining a modern Orthodox community for Shabbat. Just like, share something about that.
Well, I can tell you this was the first time I spoke in front of, I don't know how many people were there, 600?
More than 600.
More than 600 people. I found out that religion in the diaspora, especially in the United States. In Israel, it's something like neither you're religious or not. Religious or secular, there's nothing in the middle. You can be like with the kippa sruga, or like that's sruga, but it's black. That's like a different level. Or you can be, but everyone is like Orthodox. You don't see reforms. You don't see any stream of any kind of anything in the religion. But we all Jewish. Basically, in Israel, everything is Jewish. You get into a restaurant, you don't ask them about kashrut, because obviously they have kashrut. It's Israel. And if they don't have kashrut, you see it immediately, because they're selling something that... but in the diaspora, I believe that the religious is more emphasized the Jewish people, because without that, without the shul, which is like a social place, it's like this is the heart of the community, and you can't have it any other way. So this is so important. That's what I learned. I learned this is what keeps the diaspora Jews together as a Jewish people. Otherwise, they're like everybody else, and everybody else are not Jewish. It's not like in Israel.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So I'll just close with a couple of reflections that are coming up for me. So first, I want to thank both of you so much for being here. It's as I mentioned at the beginning, so important to first of all just understand what happened for people who have not understood that yet, and second of all to really experience and get a sense of this model that your two communities are creating right now, both because it's amazing on its own and also for others to see that and think about in their own communities, how might they partner, how might they focus their energies on building something long and lasting. And really the word that comes to mind for me is like mifgash, like a connection.
Yeah.
Like you're encountering someone across the ocean, and as we said, also within your own community, because when you have multiple synagogues across denominations doing it together. So that's the first. The second is, as the grandchild of survivors, I grew up hearing terrible, terrible stories, and I think I can't help but I imagine others do this as well, but put myself in that situation, imagine what that was, to have that conversation with your wife, to think about your children in that moment, to have that first moment of, I need to go, I need to stay, and now I need to go, and navigating that. And I think also, certainly what hits me, I have a group of friends, there's 7 of us who went to college together. We try to get together once a month and spend that time and connect and do those things not in front of our wives, as you said, within reason. And to hear that from you also, to hear that your willingness to even share that, but to see that you have a group of 5 that is now 2 living is, my heart was pumping, like hitting so hard during that. I was thinking of those friends, and I can't even say those words. So I'm so sorry for that loss and the losses among your entire community. And the last thing I'll just say is that, Melech David writes in Tehillim and Psalms, King David writes in Psalms, Hine ma tovu manayim shevet achim gam yachad. How beautiful it is to see 2 brothers sitting together, it is heart-wrenching that that has been taken away from you with your brothers, with your parliament, with your friends, and there is no silver lining, as Rabbi Poupko said. But I think I sit here now looking at the 2 of you, and I see 2 achim, shevet achim gam yachad, 2 brothers sitting together, representing 2 communities sitting together, and that for me does fill my heart. That gives me hope, and I wish both of you so much success in this endeavor. I look to our viewers, I say, think about what we've heard today and the ways that you can bring this to your community. You can support this initiative by going at the Ahavath Torah website, and also you can go and you can think about how to do this in your own communities. Thank you so much, both.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.